Hello and welcome to Two Geek Girls.
We are Two Geek Girls. I am Crysstal. I go by Heart of Crysstal, and this is Lyssa at Geek Girl Lyssa. Absolutely everywhere.
Wow!
Wow,
I have a sign.
The sign. I have heart because that's a couple of my there. But that's all I got.
Close enough. It works.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay. I'll put that picture. Whatever. I have more cables behind this camera than I know what to do with.
That's a mood.
It is. Like, there's no way to make them look pretty.
You just gotta kind of like organize them generally so that they're not like in the way of each other.
Yeah. Or if I move or do anything, that they're just, we're cool.
Everything's fine. It's fine.
That's fine.
There is no Warren Bossing say.
Happy Thursday to everybody. It is storming here in Georgia. So if suddenly we have tribbles, if suddenly the power goes out, that's probably going to be why. So just a heads up to everyone there.
We've already had the power brownout once.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to like get the stream set up like behind the scenes on StreamYard, and the power browned out. And I'm like, that's great.
That's not gonna work.
Perfect.
Yes. So announced today, I'm trying to like what I would know him from and what people in this generation would know him from would be two different things. But James Caan, who's been acting longer than I've been alive, has announced that he died today at the age of 82.
Yes.
There's a lot of people right now would probably know him from Elf, as opposed to The Godfather, or any of the TV shows that he did. But it's a legend. It's a legend. They're getting up there.
Oh. No, I recognize. Yeah. And Misery.
Oh yeah. Classic. The scene. Whoop. The movie.
Like, that's the one I recognize him mostly from.
Yep. That would be one for a lot.
Like, I even forgot he was an elf until you're like, Elf. I'm like, oh yeah, no, he was the dad, wasn't he?
He's the dad. It was so against type. That was him. So it was interesting. Of course, when they do the articles, like, they talk about the actors that have been working for so long, so iconic. And they had to slip into any of the articles about this, how we have gotten used to, which is great, seeing actors have longer and longer careers. Now, for men, this wasn't exactly the same problem, but they would be moved into different types, you know. Yeah. But I mean, let's face it, some of the biggest action movies that have been coming out, we got Tom Cruise, he's in his 60s. We've got Sandra Bullock, 57, 58. Nicole Kidman portraying Lucille Ball in her 20s. And Nicole Kidman, I believe, is also in her early 50s. If I'm right, like 52, 53. Which is fabulous. But I also don't want to slip. I also am happy with like the Frankie and Grace style, where you're also accepting the fact that somebody is getting older. Jane Fonda loves her plastic surgery, and that's totally fine. But she is also completely accepting of a lot of other things. Hey guys. So yeah, they go through the career and they go through the longevity of it, and the fact that we can, I think it's great that
I like that they're actually increasing the amount of work, and it's not just typecasting women as the mom anymore. Don't get me wrong, that's still an issue, but that's less and less likely to happen now.
Right, they'll become the lead. It's totally fine for them to also be like somebody who never got married, somebody who, you're not just the wife, you're not just the mom in the background. And it's the interesting, so getting to see somebody like James Caan with men, again, more common for them to have such a long career, have a career where they got to play multiple types against type, got to do so much. And so they're recognizable to multiple generations. Realizing that we have actors who are going to do that. From my first years of filmmaking, yours, which came about 10 years later, give or take, to they're still making movies that kids are watching today. At the same time, this makes me feel incredibly old.
Yeah.
They think, oh yeah, is that guy from that thing? I'm like, no, that's the guy from the other thing. Like, don't. That's, oh, they were selling Grateful Dead shirts in Walmart, and I saw it on one of the kids here that was buying fireworks. And we commented on the shirt, bright, colorful, looks really cool. And he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. I just thought the colors were really cool. But now when he said, I don't know anything, when he said, I don't know anything about it, I thought they meant like at least you knew it was a band, like, but that you didn't really. So we're like, oh, well, I made a song recommendation that they might like. And he's like, oh, wait, is this a band? Is Grateful Dead a band? I thought it was just a saying.
Mom and Dad didn't bother to tell them.
I mean, I think that if you're outside of California, it's not as common to see a Jerry bear on the back of a car. But come on.
I haven't really listened to the Grateful Dead, and I know they're a band. If you see me swatting, we have been invaded by gnats in the house.
Or gnats and fruit flies, yeah.
No, it's just gnats. It's just gnats. They got in while I was sick with COVID at my parents' house, and I have been fighting them since.
I'm sorry.
Like,
so, yeah. Yeah. So this is the other thing when the inevitable comes and an actor who has been performing for decades passes.
Yep.
Inevitably, you're going to have everybody have a different like core memory of them, a different thing that they're symbolic with. That again is that realization that now that cinema is over 100 years old, you have completely different generations viewing it, completely different and growing up with completely different stories and actors. That's great. I love that they've at least, I love watching movies where the leads are actors that are going to keep working for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do. And they're getting meaty roles. And they're like, that's good. That's the way the system should work. You should have a bifurcation between somebody up and coming, somebody doing something new for that genre, and then allowing us to continue seeing Charlize Theron kick butt, Keanu Reeves kick butt, Wesley Snipes do what he does in absolutely every movie that he's in.
That exasperated tone.
Okay, it's all good. It's all good.
Ryan Reynolds, just play Ryan Reynolds on screen.
But but the good news about that is that Ryan Reynolds is entertaining and has wonderful timing. So it's basically like watching a stand-up comedian step into a role, but not trying to be anything. He's just trying to be, and I'm totally fine with that because I can't picture anyone else as Deadpool.
Oh, yeah. No, I am by no means complaining. I'm just pointing out, no, Ryan Reynolds just plays Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
Like, put him in the correct role, and he's perfect.
You were great. 100%. Speaking of correct roles, so the show that is following up Disney Marvel Hawkeye is Echo. So this is a bit mysterious. We don't know much about the plot or anything else, but we do know that they have confirmed like Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are coming back. So this is going to be the following through with the Kingpin storyline out of Hawkeye and continuing to use Charlie Cox as Daredevil. So we do have that confirmation. We still don't know much about it. I'm assuming a lot of these announcements are coming out as we're creeping up on San Diego Comic-Con, which is so weird this year. Anyway, everybody's going. They've announced Dwayne The Rock Johnson doing, doing
Black Adam,
Shazam. We've got Shazam 2 teaser and stuff that dropped. All these announcements are going to come. Interested to see what Marvel and Disney are going to do as well, because we've got all the announcements from DC Comics popped up and all the DC shows and stuff. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting what they decide to make the headline at Marvel this year for Marvel, because of course Marvel and Disney have their own conventions and ways of announcing things completely separate, but it's still San Diego Comic-Con. They can keep saying they're separate, but it's San Diego Comic-Con, and all of these things are kind of a staple there. So that's
and San Diego Comic-Con is like the big one that everyone goes to.
It's also like easy for industry to get there, and set up easy. But yeah, I mean, it gets really tricky for Marvel that used to own Hall H. Now DC is going to kind of own Hall H this year.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll see how it goes.
They're going to have to bring their A game for stuff that's their B information.
Marvel is at a tricky place, and this as we enter into the next phase of everything that they're going to want to do, it's one thing for us to look at the growing storylines and it's not a reboot, but it's definitely going to be like a remodel of the Marvel shows on Disney Plus as opposed to Netflix. Okay, cool. Not going against fans. They're keeping the cast. As far as we know, everything's staying, and that's fantastic because the casting was already perfect. Like if it broke, don't fix it. Awesome. So we got an idea of that, but it's different with the movies because the movies are not performing at the level, and they're not being made with, the movies are going to get really tricky from now on. And we're already seeing this with Love and Thunder, which I don't think it's going to be a flop. Like Eternals could be called a flop. Mm-hmm. What I think it's going to be like 50-50. I think you're either going to love it or you're not going to like it at all.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen with Love and Thunder. I could be completely wrong. But
from the trailers, like, don't get me wrong, I loved Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, God. It's like the one movie I could watch 50 times.
And
I'm totally fine with that.
Thor Love and Thunder, like, I want, because of Jane Foster as Thor, to love it.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting good vibes off of it. It feels too campy.
I don't think Natalie can carry the movies. I don't think she can carry the movies. I don't think she can do it. I don't think she can step into it. I don't think she can be Thor. And it has nothing to do, like if she was part of a crew, if she was part of something else, I just don't think this is to her strong suit. I don't think this is her, and for all of her accomplishments and clearly incredible performances she has put out in her lifetime and how hard she works and how seriously she takes this. Those girls that have always been perfect so they don't have to be that good?
Yeah.
There are times Natalie doesn't have to be that good. Having seen her on stage in a role she could not fill, I feel like this is kind of going to be like that. Mm. I'm not going to blame Star Wars on her. I'm blaming that on George Lucas.
Yeah, no, that's entirely on George Lucas.
No. Clearly, if she's given the right, there's zero forgiveness in Black Swan. That is 100% right here, and she nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. It was perfect. Deserved the Oscar, deserved the work. She did not give enough credit to the dancers who actually did the work, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, I just it's reminding me of. Let me paint the picture. I'm seeing the seagull, Shakespeare in the Park, which isn't always Shakespeare. That's the misnomer. It's not always Shakespeare. In this case, it was the seagull, and the cast is Philip Seymour Hoffman, Natalie Portman, Marcia Gay Harden, John Goodman, Christopher Walken, and Meryl Streep, and Kevin Kline, and a bunch of other people that it's Mike Nichols directing. So this show is everything. The third time I saw it, I was sitting next to Nicole Kidman. I'm sitting next to Bernadette Peters. Everybody wants to see this show. I cannot describe how it feels to sit in an audience watching Natalie Portman downstage right, doing what is supposed to be a heartbreaking scene with Philip Seymour Hoffman. And the whole audience is just waiting for it to end. Because they can't, they were poorly cast in those roles. They can't chew up the scenery in a role that you need to embody.
Yeah.
And can't compare to Meryl Streep and Kevin Kline, who are supposed to be the supporting roles in this play.
Yeah.
But Natalie Portman sure looked cute.
I mean,
she looked pretty. And I'm like, they was able to pull a much better performance out of her, mostly. And it's like the whole movie was a love letter to her. It was the one with Julia Roberts, where the couples get completely entangled with each other. I can't think of it right now. Anyway, that was also directed by Nick Olson. And it's fine. Again, it's like I get it. Natalie Portman is the embodiment of every form of perfection of a woman. She shits strawberry yogurt. I get it. So this gets really tricky. I don't think that she can carry it. I don't think she will carry it. Whether she could or not is debatable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she will. And I don't think it's going to be the same as like Henry Cavill, who clearly does have a lot of talent, but was given a shit script. So we have no idea whether he would be a good Superman or not.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the problem. I just think that a lot of people are going to walk out of the movie feeling like something was missing. There just wasn't something there you could really chew on.
And see, that's what there's a right amount of camp for the Thor movies, and Ragnarok hit it on the money. And it's gonna I'm going to fully acknowledge it's going to be difficult to follow Ragnarok, given that.
Yeah. But you are talking about an entire cast and a director and production team that were on 100%.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like some actors sometimes don't see the potential in the lines that they're saying.
Yeah.
And sometimes Natalie Portman falls flat.
Yep.
Especially
I have to agree with that.
Especially when you compare it to her at her best.
Oh yeah. No, like, because we know what she is like at her best, like seeing her in those moments where it's falling flat, it's so much more disappointing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that she should have been cast as Jane Foster to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got somebody like Kat Dennings who steals the scene every time.
Yeah. No, like
it's not
cast Kat.
I don't know how to describe it other than meat.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at someone like, that's meat. Like, they've got meat. Show me meat. Like, just like you can't. And then on the other hand, it's a dry falafel. I'm like, I don't. Yeah. But yeah, so Steven's saying that Thor needs Loki. And I'm like, I don't need to see Loki in every single movie that I see Thor in, but I do need it to be the kind of movie that if Loki showed up, it would work.
Yeah. And
in Ragnarok, nothing seemed too outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
That happened in that movie. Everything works. And it's such an environment. You can tell the environment created by Taika Waititi. You could tell that the actors were all like this. Like, we're all on the same. We're sync. We beats were good. We got
the chemistry between Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston is just fucking on point. Like, they act like siblings with one another.
Right.
Like, they love each other,
right.
but they're also going to annoy the ever-loving shit out of one another.
Hemsworth brings out of me that I completely relate to Loki. It's first
Well, and like Hemsworth plays Thor as like the perfect golden retriever energy himbo.
Yeah.
That's exactly how he is.
Yeah. But you also buy every time he's sad, every time he's mad, every time you buy it.
Exactly.
So that is a characterization of an actor being able to portray a himbo in on the joke and then knowing when to break the facade.
Yes. Well, and see, that's the thing about himbos. Himbos, just because they have that golden retriever energy, doesn't mean that those moments that they are in pain are any less painful. And in fact, when it does happen, because they do constantly have golden retriever energy and are all up in your face, they are more poignant if you do it right.
Right. Yeah, no, we buy it. We buy it. We buy that there's a brain in there, and when he plays it, I mean, again, that's like Ragnarok, just from beat 1 to the end.
Oh yeah,
great movie. That is the Marvel movie I could sit through multiple times.
Oh yeah,
I think that's hard to recreate. It's hard to recreate.
They had lightning in a bottle right there.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like I said, Thor Ragnarok. I'm not expecting Love and Thunder to break anyone's expectations, given the precursor movie that they have to compete against. Yep. But I feel like it's going to fall short for everyone's expectations. Just based on the trailers and everything.
Yep.
It feels like they're maybe leaning too far into the camp for this one.
Sure. And it's part of it too is we begin to realize how much we have available to us right now. I just thought of 4 or 5 other shows where it either met or exceeded or fell short of expectations, but you find something redeeming about them. Like, we have a lot available to us, and that could really hurt Marvel cinema right now.
Yeah.
You're not the only cat in the game anymore.
Yeah, it used to be the case that Marvel, like, it was the golden child, because, like, for so long, comic book movies were not taken seriously.
No, we're only talking
all of a sudden,
decades, and
all of a sudden, Marvel comes in after the success of the X-Men movies. Now, obviously, X-Men fell short at some point,
right?
But like the X-Men movies were like what set the stage for what became the Marvel movies today.
People were excited. Expectations were met and exceeded. People were excited. There was an entire shift in Hollywood at San Diego Comic-Con when they got ready to premiere X-Men.
Yep.
In 2000. That changed absolutely everything.
And I think right then they had the perfect storm too, because they were coming off of the 90s X-Men comic series nostalgia.
Yes.
You had all of these people who grew up watching it, who are now their target demographic for that movie.
Hollywood realizing that they now had the ability to do these characters, whereas before you could only do Batman and Superman and, really down to earth abilities, maybe a few action adventure style comic book heroes, but get these types of effects. That's only about 20 years old where we could really get to this level and do it justice.
Yep. And even then, there have been moments that have been questionable.
I would argue with you about the perfect storm thing.
Maybe. But I think they had just the right generation.
They did.
Is what I mean by that.
They just didn't have the perfect storm. But that's okay. Neither here nor there.
but they had a
Do you
bunch
have
of
an
people.
accent or don't you? Are you going to do the character like this or not?
Look, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that.
Not allowed to do comic book characters anymore.
Halle Berry, we're
You
calling you out.
You lost your card. Ugh.
We love you and other things. Just please stay the fuck away from
Clearly,
comics.
Clearly clearly one of the best actresses of, the last, but
yeah, like we love Halle Berry in here. We stand Halle Berry. We just do not stand her with comic book movies.
Nope.
No. In other news, did you hear that the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh passed away?
I did not.
They found him dead from a snorkeling accident. He was found floating off the coast of Nago in Okinawa, wearing snorkeling gear.
Oh my god.
He was 60 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60. Yeah. That's hopefully more news about what happened will come out, but
yeah, so far it just looks like it was a snorkeling accident. It's unfortunate. It sucks, but it happens.
It does.
It really happens. Like one of the kids that went to Oglethorpe with me was on a trip to like Costa Rica and got pulled out by riptides. And passed away.
There are lots of beaches that scare me for that
reason.
Mm-mm.
Like, and since it was off the coast, he probably got pulled out by a riptide. He probably got pulled out by a riptide and could not break free.
Nope.
Or didn't know how to break free.
Yeah, it doesn't take much either. That's no, that's unfortunate. Of course, condolences to his friends and family. That is unexpected and unfortunate. We had some bad news for Disneyland within the last couple of days. I don't think it was that long, is it? So Disneyland's social media got hacked.
Of course it did.
And of course, it's one of the devil hackers that just wanted to put up a bunch of racist and bigoted crap all over Disney's social media.
Of course.
Yeah. So, obviously a hack. Nobody thought it was.
Yeah, Disney being
that. It causes a headache and all of those things. But it was for Disneyland, if I understand. It wasn't like Disney. It was specifically just the Disneyland. Yeah. So, unfortunately, that probably cost somebody their job because it's, I could have been fishware or something. When it's just like the one park's social media that's going to be run by a specific company or a specific team of people. And so, unfortunately, something probably happened there.
Well, and it could have been anyone in that particular server that clicked on the email too. It didn't even have to be someone on the social media team.
Right.
Like it could just be anyone who happened to have worked in the building or had connections to that server that everyone was on.
Right.
As long as it has the social media information,
All you need.
That's highly unfortunate. And I really hope someone didn't lose their job because sometimes those phishing emails can
really trick you.
Yeah.
They can really trick you. So that's the latest news on that. We don't know any more about it. And I don't recall right now if the hacker actually came forward and took credit for it, as opposed to they just were able to trace it back to like a known team, which is usually the case.
Yeah.
So there you go. Good news for Disney. Jude Law's mysterious Star Wars show called Skeleton Crew has started filming.
Oh, okay.
Again, next to no information on this. Skeleton Crew, Jude Law, and one of the directors, or at least the headlining director, is going to be John Watts, who did Spider-Man No Way Home.
All right.
And that's all you get to know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good news.
Yes, more Star Wars on the way. I feel about a lot of the Star Wars shows the same way I feel about a lot of the Marvel shows that are currently going on Disney Plus. They're all going to be different. They all have their own feel. They're all trying to do as much justice to that particular character, to that particular storyline. I could probably do a deeper dive into fan Reddits and things like for people who are more familiar with novelizations and comic book continuances as far as the Star Wars myth is concerned. If I wanted, so that's probably going to give a few more clues, but I'm curious what people are going to say about it. But we got the confirmation that they started filming within the last couple of days. So yay. More is on the way. Also released recently were promotional photos for the Munsters movie.
Yes, I heard about that.
Rob Zombie's Munsters movie, his wife as Lily.
Of course.
Yep. So
don't get me wrong, I enjoy her in the roles that I've watched her in, but can we please stop with the fucking nepotism? There are better people for the roles.
And that's the difference. I don't have a problem with people working together. I don't have a problem with if that's because sometimes people do a project that's like I couldn't call the I Love Lucy show nepotism. Those were the right people for the show. He was the right person to be producing and directing and running the studio, and she was clearly the right one to team up and have her own show. Like, that's not nepotism if it's the right person for the job.
Yeah.
But if you have a history of kind of casting a person and they've proven they're not the right person for the job. But I've also seen people make the mistake for the opposite. I've seen people make the mistake for the opposite reason, where maybe you should have kind of given that person a chance, because the person that you did end up casting for other reasons screwed you over, wasn't right, clearly couldn't fill those shoes. So anyway, nepotism is situational. Clearly, we're going to give her a chance. We're going to give Rob a chance in this, because he is a very talented creator. This is completely fine. I
think she can probably pull off this role, but I'm just
would be great for them.
Yeah, I'm just at this point kind of tired of every time we see a Rob Zombie movie, Sherry Moon Zombie is the one that's cast as the lead female role. I love that they have that kind of relationship. That's great for them. But please give someone else a chance when there's someone that's better for the role.
When it's something like, again, this gets really difficult, because is the project only getting done because he snatched it up? Is it only getting, is he the driving force behind it? Is this a passion project? At which point, it's really not anybody's place to step in and say anything. If you're the only reason that something is getting done. Completely understood. It's your project. You're fine. But notice there's going to be an extra layer of criticism in there. But at the same time, it's not always nepotism. Nepotism only applies when the person wasn't the best one for the job.
Yeah.
But people compromise quality all the time, and sometimes they do that because they want a name attached to a project. They want that. We see people compromise quality for a multitude of reasons. Hopefully, that's not what this is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think she was ever going to let him make the movie without her being Lily.
Oh yeah.
Just
I don't even blame her for that. Be like, no, hun, this one's mine. This one is mine.
Yeah. Oh, and Steven, I actually haven't seen any news on Rogue Squad in a couple of weeks. Just for the record, there were some talks about the novelizations, giving clues to a bit of it. People having high expectations for it. So it's going to be released in 2023. The studio is pouring a lot into it, but I haven't heard any specific news. One way or the other, it's been a couple of weeks since I've seen any updates about that. But that's just me. Maybe someone else has. And the Munsters also was the promotional. Remember, the Munsters black and white, just like Addams Family at the time that it was released. So they actually released color posters and color scheme, and he's come out saying I'm expecting actually a color scheme in this. By that I mean it's not just going to be like a normal movie. They're actually going to have I
think it's going to have some kind of sepia or blue or something, something that tones the colorization down.
That's what I think. I agree 100%. I think that they're making that clear with the promotional material that's already been coming out. Costumes look great. Makeup looks great. Characters look great. We're totally cool. And I'm excited for anything like this coming out, because if we can get our like the Addams Family Reddit show on the air, I'm good. Like anything that promotes that, because Munsters actually had higher ratings than the Addams Family, even both only lasted for 2 seasons. And Addams Family, I do believe, did better in its re-airing. Yes. That's from what I understand. And that's a hard line for some people that are fans of the genre. It's clearly going to be one or the other. But I think both of them did important things at a time when you barely do anything on television.
Well, like, and the entire point of both television series was to point out that sometimes the monsters aren't the people that you associate as being the monsters. It's the people who are normal that are actually the monsters.
Listen, these shows were calling out Karens before we knew what Karens were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This was definitely the show doing it. Yeah. And same with Bewitched. Like calling out the Karens before we could put a word to it. 100%.
Definitely agree there.
Yep. Okay, so I have finished Stranger Things. Have you?
Not quite yet.
Okay, so we're not going to do any spoilers, but what I am going to say is, as you're watching this, and for those of you who have watched it, I am curious to see if this is like, it's definitely, this is not a spoiler because it's been told everywhere, somebody dies. This has been said, somebody dies. Because it's Stranger Things, and every season somebody dies. Okay.
Yep.
So.
Well, I already know who dies.
Okay. So the big question about this is this like one of the best deaths?
Yeah, from my understanding, because I have not gotten to that part. However, I have seen.
I actually consider it like the best exit. It's the best final act, I'm gonna say, for a character.
Well, and I really hope it's another one of those fake outs. I really hope it's another one of those fake outs where he didn't actually die.
Beth wasn't.
I know.
But they didn't know how much we would stand Beth. They didn't know.
Well, they knew going in. They knew going in that we would love this character.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one's tricky. But
I
props.
I love how so one of the jokes I've been seeing going around is that Steve's boyfriend dies. And they've got the teenagers in this show, the older teenagers, have a polycule.
Right. Which, yes. And now there's hard clues if you understand Dungeons and Dragons and you understand the Hellfire Club's game in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. No,
there will be hard clues to the inevitability that's happening. There's hard clues in all of the D&D games as far as just, looking back. Like, oh, okay. No,
the fact that Vecna played a role in the D&D table. For anyone who is unaware of Vecna lore, Vecna is he was a human wizard who turned himself into a lich. That then, in his quest for power, managed to turn himself into a lesser god.
Right.
And one of the things that happened to him is he eventually got disassembled, essentially. He got cut into pieces. And 2 of the big items that you can find of his are the hand of Vecna and the eye of Vecna.
Which... in this, we always see, bear in mind, you're talking about the upside down. You're talking about bleeding into our reality and the upside down reality. And that wall, obviously, in this season is getting thinner and thinner.
Yep.
And you're talking about a lot of things being done where the kids have to figure out the metaphor in it. They have to figure out it's literal on the table, and then there's the metaphor all around them that's giving them the clues on how to defeat somebody. or at least win the battle, if not the war yet. So what happens to the character, like pay attention to the construction of the characters, pay attention to the D&D characters. It was really funny because when they brought up, and she came out as Applejack when she went to join their D&D, I was like, okay, I love My Little Pony, so thank you for being Applejack. And two, she's described, it was very reminiscent of a character that I created about years ago. We're not going to talk about how old I am. But just the beginning, other details were completely hers that I'd never taken my character that she'd clearly been in this for a while. She's clearly 100%, and already going, and it was a great scene to have her say that, but very reminiscent of a particular character that I had done for a very specific game for a very specific reason. And I feel like there's a clue there, not having anything to do with me particularly, but because something she said in her character description, her D&D character description, Applejack, was like, oh, wait, that character has that for a very specific, okay, hold on. Yeah. So I like listen to every clue. If you really want to kind of see that, like listen to the clues of the characters that they create. Which somebody, of course, has the whole diagram drawn out of the characters that each person on the show.
I want to see the character sheets.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, we all have to also realize these are AD&D characters, not a modern iteration of D&D. Because 5e is an entirely different beast than AD&D.
So part of it is, if I were to think about games that I played more than a decade ago, it wouldn't work today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I completely. However, she said something about a character that she said about hers that I was like, wait, that's very specific.
Now, when you were playing D&D, were you playing AD&D or 3E?
3. Yeah, only. Yeah, I only did that. Yeah. Yeah. Because this is more than 20 years ago. When for me.
My first D&D books were 3E, so you're making me feel old too, Crysstal.
Think about it. This was more than 20 years ago. This is more than 20 years ago when we were doing that, because this is like mid-90s.
Oh, well, if it was mid-90s, it would have been AD&D, because 3E didn't come out till 2000.
I joined another, so mid-90s. Okay, you're right, because I didn't join the other one until 2003 when I was in New York. You're right. I did have one before that. You're right.
So you would have been playing an AD&D game in the 90s.
Yep.
Because they hadn't been bought by Hasbro yet in Wizards of the Coast.
This is
it was still TSR.
Right. And that was also a little nod to the future of Hasbro when they mentioned that she was a My Little Pony fan.
Yes.
Before. Yep. I remember thinking that when they said that.
Yep, because Wizards of the Coast has done Hasbro crossovers with My Little Pony before, specifically like
that was after I really stopped.
Well, they did an MTG My Little Pony thing maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
Give or take. Now I need to look this up. When the fuck did they make the MTG My Little Pony?
Well, it starts to bleed in because there's stuff that they're doing in their games that we don't do anymore. There's stuff that they're doing, and it's interesting. But I there's so many layers to this season that it's we want to call it redeeming, but it's I'm really curious to hear more of the commentary come out from the brothers about, because clearly this was the plan from one. This the seeds for all of this were laid down back then. Makes me realize a lot of stuff that I didn't notice in season 1 that I should have. But
okay, so they did do. So they've done an MTG and a D&D crossover. So the MTG was 2019 and the D&D one was 2020. And the D&D one came with exclusive ponies like the actual ponies, so you could use them instead of miniatures.
I think I did see that at Comic-Con. One of the yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
They call it Cutie Marks and Dragons.
This is cute. This is cute. I like this. I like it.
I
like it. But it tells me that she's going to play a much bigger part as we continue going through.
And I think that's a good thing, because like seeing her grow as a character has been nice, because the last season we saw her like really start coming into her own as a character.
Mm-hmm.
And this season we're starting to see more of her doing that, because the first couple seasons she was just the annoying little sister that would occasionally pop in and be set dressing.
Right.
And now she's actually getting to that age where, oh, no, like she's gonna actually start like doing things and getting involved with us, because like we're all within that age group now that these things are going to be like more universal for us.
Right.
Versus like she's into dolls and this, that, next thing, and we're guys and that's not our thing. Well, she's now finally into that age group where, oh hey, this is something that people across every gender, it's more socially acceptable for.
Well, and bringing in a character that clearly doesn't do anything halfway.
Oh yeah.
And we believe it 100%. Like you said, they spent seasons setting her up to be that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna pull it through at the end. But I've learned to pay attention to the game. Pay attention to what they're saying. Pay attention to the hacks, because
because the D&D games have always been their tell.
Yep. But they're good about creating that first layer that you notice, and the obvious answer, whether you want to, you want to talk about the monsters, you want to talk about, but there's layered. It's easily distracting. There's a lot that happens. It's a fast pace. This is not a slow burn show. This is fast paced. I didn't even realize until I was like halfway through one of the last episode. Those are 2 full-length feature films as the last 2 episodes.
Yep.
And
that's why, like, when people were complaining, it's like, why did they do a half season and then come out with only 2 episodes? And then the last 2 were full-length movies.
They're full-length.
That's why they put that mid-season pause, because they needed to fucking work on that shit.
And sign of a good time. You don't want it to end, and 2, you don't realize how long it's going.
Yeah.
Nope. They pulled out all the stops this time. Real quick before we leave, I will mention that Top Gun is projected to hit 9 figures.
Oh wow.
Yep. And now we're talking about a movie that was first talked about in 2000 as actually about like getting a green light. Had to stop 2010. Started in 2010, full on. Had to stop in 2012 when Ridley Scott died. And then 2017, they've been filming this one that we saw since 2017. So 20 plus years in the making. So props to that. And
usually would get in development hell and stay there forever and never come out.
No, nope. Stuck with it. For
as much as I want to hate on Tom Cruise for a bunch of shit, I think he's the driving force behind that reason.
No, he absolutely is. And this is part of the thing. This is how he ended up becoming the lapdog of Scientology. People like Miscavige know how to take those strong points. And now Tom Cruise believes that the reason he's so good and so successful, and it is because of Scientology, when the fact of the matter is he would have been successful no matter what. This is this guy. Stories about this guy going back 40 years. God damn it, I'm old. Stories going all the way back, just his attention to detail, his absolute professionalism from day one. Always on 100%, always working, never sleeping. It's just but that's him. And he is now surrounded by people that have made him dependent.
Yep.
By tricking him into thinking it's them that did it.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately, this is gonna I don't know.
They got him when he was vulnerable.
They got him
vulnerable.
They got him when he was vulnerable, and they got him when, because he's not an idiot. It's not about being smart or stupid. They got him right at the time. Like, they got the perfect timing where his career was good. Like, you have all the, but it was like the potential. You have so much potential.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you.
Well, and like, potential doesn't mean shit if the person isn't willing to put in the work.
No. And well, and it's, you know, Kirstie Alley is another one who credits the church for getting her out of her addictions. Now, the irony of that is, for a church that's so against psychology and psychiatric help, they use Psych 101 to get a person to reaffirm what they need to do in their life to start making change. And that clicked for her. It worked for her. So how do you tell somebody, how do you tell somebody that something is crap when it worked for them?
Yeah.
Like, you wonder how smart people get sucked into this. So it's like,
yeah, you want to know how people who are smart get sucked into cults? This is how. This is absolutely. They take someone when they are vulnerable, and they take basic psychology principles and apply them, and help them.
Everybody wants more. Everybody wants a family. Everybody wants help. If you're willing to stop and talk to somebody with a book in the subway, you're clearly still looking for something in your life. And that's all they need to do is make a blanket statement. It's the same reason why people, I'll come at me in the comics. Go ahead. This is why people still believe in psychics. Like,
yep.
Doesn't take much. Doesn't take much to.
And horoscopes. It just
astrology
and fortune cookies. Oddly enough, it's a blanket statement that
whole thing. It's a whole thing.
If something in your life is even remotely fits, your brain can and will often.
You see what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
See what you want. Read what you want. Look for what you want. Grab onto what you want. And people get to know you better. I mean, you're never getting Tom Cruise away from David Miscavige. David Miscavige could eat a baby in front of him, and Tom Cruise would reason it out.
He'd hand him the salt.
Well, but that reasoning where you start making excuses for other people's behavior, Tom Cruise has made excuses for his own behavior, and that is why he owns slaves. Yeah, no, this is good. This is all going to come back. So it's very complicated, and I put myself in that most like extreme circumstance that would never happen if I was ever cast. It's never going to happen, but I'm just saying, if I was ever cast in a movie and say, hey, by the way, it's co-starring Tom Cruise, I'd be like, if there is a hell, will I be going there? I might be. Like, you might have a choice to make there. What you live with. It's right up there with nope. There you go. But congrats to sticking with it. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by his accomplishments. I think he would have always been incredibly successful. There you go. Top Gun on its way. Speaking of 90s nostalgia. And speaking of cults, we have good news. Excellent segues. I'm loving today. It's all working out. I'm psychic. You know that meme that says, hey, I need a white girl with a nose ring to tell me what planet is messing up my life right now? It's Earth. It's Earth. Earth is messing up your life right now. Did that help? Did that help? Okay. Okay, so Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling are announcing a podcast together called Talkville. Guess what it's about?
Smallville.
It's about talking about Smallville. So it's going to start airing on the 13th, and then every Wednesday they're going to release a new one. Of course, this is something that they've been kind of talking about doing for a while. Michael Rosenbaum was like, hey, Tom, come on, we need to come do something together. People still want to talk about this. And it's basically using Smallville as a segue to talk about a bunch of other stuff, which is totally fine. But they also want to do specifically commentary, behind the scenes stories. They're bringing on John Glover. They're going to bring on Erica Durance. They're going to bring like anybody else who wants to talk about it, people who were part of the show. And one of the, it's funny, I'm reading one of the articles, and it's like, might be a little bit difficult to get off the Mac, but I'm like, yeah, a bit. It might be a bit difficult to do that one, but so there you go. Smallville still alive and kicking. So, which is, I mean, again, Rosenbaum has one of my favorite podcasts. I think he's a fantastic interviewer. I think he keeps all the right tequila to get all of the actors to answer the right questions. I think he definitely found his niche, and I think there's going to be some great moments that come out of this. As somebody who, of course, grew up watching Smallville.
That's true.
Yep, I'm excited. So there's your good news cult segue of the day.
Well, okay, so one of the running jokes with my friends in the D&D community is that if you get a critical mass of nerds in one place, a cult will follow. All you have to do is look at Dragon Con.
Oh God. Okay, because we are all, in our own minds, whether true or not, chaotic good.
Oh yeah.
In our own minds. So, inevitably,
a cult follows.
A cult follows. I think we are absent any real charismatic leaders most of the time, which is probably why it never goes too far. But there you go.
Well, it's not necessarily you're lacking charismatic leaders. It's that a good portion of the time when you get these cults that happen at like cons, they're all in good fun. They're not meant to be serious. They're just meant to be a meme. You get a bunch of nerds together, and we all meme. We're all human shit posts, and it's not meant to be serious. It's just mostly meant to be hilarious.
We are, yes. Well, first of all, these conventions like Dragon Con and stuff go on for days. They keep giving us more pizza and beer every year.
And Jello shots.
Who's making the Jello shots?
I don't know who's making the Jello shots, but I've definitely bought a Jello shot of a random person in one of the hotels on a tray for like $1.
Unhesitantly. Yes, strange person I've never met before on the train. Give me your gelatinous creation.
Fuck it. When in Rome.
I'm good. I got this. Hey, Alec, do we have our room reserved? Like, I don't even care if I don't care. I'm in.
I've already got my information for Gen Con. I just need Ray to send me my badge info stuff.
Right. I mean, the good news is I live here. It's like I can go down to the vortex and party out for I don't care.
Exactly.
It's all good. I honestly, the last couple of years, I've been so busy with so many people that come into town. Like we have like plans, and you end up talking for hours, and you have meetups, and you have costumes you're taking pictures in, and you're doing all this stuff that I didn't even go on the floor. Any of them. I didn't go into any of the rooms. I didn't go any of the things. I didn't go. I think we went to one panel. No.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing things at Gen Con this year.
Right.
And because last year I just sat in the Colorado room running games, and I didn't have a chance to really get out except for the vendor hall, which is huge. It's fucking huge at Gen Con because that's like the focus.
I've seen the pictures. I saw the pictures. I think you said, no, it wasn't you. Yeah, it was from last year's. Yeah, it was from last year's. And which makes sense because of what Gen Con is.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's going to be the biggest draw there compared to a lot of other conventions where the biggest draws are the panels and stuff, and the vendors hall is kind of, you set aside one day for that. Gen Con's different.
No. Like literally, there were groups of companies that had like worked together, like Sovereignty had paired up with a couple different companies, and you did a scavenger hunt around the vendor hall to find these fucking things. And you'd get a stamp from them.
Yeah.
And then when you come back, like I've got my little Sovereignty pin that they gave to everyone.
Yeah.
But you could also like put your hand in the little thing, and like you could get a code for Sovereignty for free for X amount of time, depending on what you got.
Gotcha. Yeah. No.
To try and get you to use their VTT.
I'm always down for the free energy drinks that somebody is handing out there.
I didn't run into anyone giving out free energy drinks.
We had Rockstar, the last big one, the last one I went to. Rockstar energy drink was just willy-nilly being handed out. Like here, go. And they're the big ones. It was all the new flavors. So of course they're getting you hooked with like the 460 calorie ones. I'm like,
yeah, no, well, the timing on me getting the Juju partnership was great because like right before I left for Gen Con, that shit happened, and I was like, score.
Yeah. Score. Yep. No, that makes sense. This is the part where it's everyone has their convention that they pick, and when people are really down with Dragon Con, you know what kind of person that it is.
Oh yeah.
Just like you would if there's somebody that goes to a gaming convention that goes to that. Like you understand if they're a pro at it, if they've done it before, they know what they're getting into, and that tells you everything you need to know about what to expect there.
Well, and last year was also like a weird year for Gen Con because it was like a quarter to half the amount of people.
Okay.
As per usual.
Okay.
Because of the COVID restrictions and everything. And this year, it'll still probably be about that level. Not because they've purposefully like limited it like that this year, but because they are requiring vaccinations, like proof of vaccination.
Yep.
They're requiring masks. And you even have to go get a wristband.
Before
to show that, yes, I did go through the vaccination card check line.
Right.
And if for some reason you can't get a vaccination, like they are willing to.
There's a medical. They'll do the test.
Yeah.
They'll do the test because there are people with medical exemptions to that for whatever. So
hi, Alec. Willing to.
There's a medical. They'll do the test. Yeah. Oops. Do the test because there are. We're going to count that as a triple for today.
All right. We are going to head out. Everyone, thank you for coming. We will see you next time.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday for Two Geek Girls on the Aries Studios YouTube channel. Don't forget to find at Geek Girl Lyssa absolutely everywhere as at Geek Girl Lyssa. You can find me at Heart of Crysstal on Instagram or Crystal Hubbard. I'm the one with the 2 S's on Facebook. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. I hope that everything is going really well for you. I hope that you're taking time out every day to remind yourself that you deserve nothing but, at the very least, a healthy and happy day. And live long and prosper. Bye.